a few minutes. But I'd just like to acknowledge the fact that she has contributed so much to the Australian Bush Poets Association over the years. If anybody out there would like to join our association, come over and have a talk to us. I think Brenda's actually got a couple of copies of our magazine over there. She might be able to give you one of those so you can see what we do. But she has contributed as a secretary, promotions officer, Facebook coordinator, and her most important role, I think she does a lot to encourage, and she's still doing this role, to encourage young people in bush poetry. Everyone in the bush poetry world says we need more young people. Very few of us do anything about it, and no one does more than this lady. Please put your hands together for Brenda-Joy.
Now I feel a bit guilty now because I was getting a few of these comments coming through about male, female, and now Gary's been so nice, but I'm going to do what I was going to do anyway, because look, I've got to tell you that we have to have nowadays, well, what I call this is a fairer viewpoint. Now in days gone by, the male of the species reigned supreme. He was the lord and master, and as a king, he ruled his queen. But times have changed, and girls have too. So blokes must really try to understand that nowadays, fairer principles apply. First thing, a bloke must always ask his lady for consent before he makes decisions. But her liberations meant that she can go ahead and do whatever she prefers. The right of choice depends on if it's his choice or it's hers. Now, a woman makes demands and blokes must try to get along. But if she acts subservient, if he acts subservient, well, she'd wish that he was strong. But if he bosses her around, then he's a chauvinist at best. And to try to please a modern female, it can be quite a test. If you should buy her flowers, then she'll wonder what you've done or what you want from her. But then again, if you buy none, she'll think you're unromantic or insensitive, because girls believe we should receive, don't we girls? We should receive, and blokes are meant to give. If you want hanky-panky, then she'll think you're oversexed. But if you don't want any, then her female mind suspects that either you don't love her anymore, or worse, you cur, you've got another woman and you're doing it with her. To know what to do can send you around the bend. Don't burp, don't slurp, don't make a mess, don't protest, don't offend. With sexual equality, there's really just one way for blokes to act. They simply learn to honour and obey. Now we've got up in North Queensland, where I come from, Charters cows, as most of you know, we have the Brahman cattle, and they come from the Bos Indicus, which is an Indian strain of cattle. And most of the places, we've been travelling around everywhere down south, and all the way down south, of course, it's mainly dairy cattle, and they come from the Bos Taurus line, and that is the European line. So my poem is about the meeting between a Bos Taurus female Frisian cow and a Bos Indicus male Brahman bull. And I've called it Road Watch. But what you have to do now, just to get us all in the mood, because I don't want to be the only sort of one playing the cow out here, so you've all got to do a bit of a moo. So everybody do a moo. Come on, come moo. That'll get us going. And there's one big word in the poem, and it says mellifluous. Anybody know what mellifluous means? Well, if you look it up in the dictionary like I did, it means very loud. So during the poem, there's one time when I say mellifluous, and I want everybody to be very loud then, so to give it a bit of an effect. So are we ready for this? Let's start with our moo. Moo. Now I'll tell you a story. Oh, that wasn't good enough. Come on, louder than that. Come on. Moo. about an event that happened last summer and caused my ascent. I'd grown quite bored with the daily routine of having my udders pumped out by machine. My mum used to tell me about an old bull she said was my daddy, and her eyes would grow full of joy at the memory. Those were the days when cows became pregnant in natural ways. But sadly, he died of exertion through love. And heifers nowadays get a push and a shove. It isn't romantic being carved from a tube. It's like a car service with no grease and lube. Now, I'd known hoof mammals all covered with wool, but never before had I seen a live bull. Oh, I got quite excited when outside one day a whole herd of cattle came passing my way, and there in all splendor was Boss Indicus. The sound of his bellow was mellifluous. I lost all control, for my need was intense, and with one mighty lunge I leapt over the fence. He strode the long paddock, equipped and entire, a tropical stud. I just had to admire his pendulous julep, his mighty big hump. He told me of places beyond the black stump, but our ill-fated courtship soon ran out of luck, and the whole Brahman herd got piled into a truck and were taken to market as premium beef, and only my spots saved me coming to grief. My days by the road were exciting but hard. I scurried on back to the dairy cow yard, and nobody knows of my wild roadside ways. But I'm an enigma, I'm famous these days, 'cause I've born a calf that's resistant to drought with a hump on her back, and they can't work it out. And my farmer convinced he's created a need for climate change milkers to answer their need. But there's no protuberance in his syringe, and I won't let on of my long weekend binge. And unless he discovers how I have the hots, we New South Wales Frisians will still keep our spots. I might tell my daughter the story one day of her handsome daddy who led me astray. But meanwhile, as my farmer hand's coffers grow full, I'm watching the road for the next Brahman bull. Oh, we get poems all over the place, and this one I'm starting to giggle too because I'm hearing Leslie giggle there. And now, last year, right here in Boondooma, so this is a very new poem I'm going to do now, and this poem derived from, we were having a conversation, 3 ladies. So we have Sandy Lees. Hands up, Sandy, or stand up, Sandy. Come on, Sandy. Sandy Lees, big hand for Sandy Lees. Now, as you know, Sandy Lees is already famous because Noel Stallard does a good poem about her, which he says is not about her, but her name is Lees and her first name's Sandy, so we know it's her. And so there was Sandy Lees and Leslie Weir, the wife of Brian Weir poet. Stand up, Leslie. Give her a big hand of applause. Now, we're all sitting down there and our blokes are listening in, and so out of all that has derived a poem which I have called Bra-Baric. Now, fashion has decreed that ladies have to wear a bra. Well, discomfort from the wretched things outweighs the gains by far. And when ladies get together, then we're likely to bewail the multiple dimensions of our masochistic tale. We're all told that breasts in wonder bras are visually improved. But once we're home, that miracle's the thing that's first removed. We'd like to breathe, wouldn't we, ladies? without a suit of armour round our chest, but tight elastics necessary to uphold the rest. We suffer cutting in from straps, gouging out from wires. It's simply torture to achieve what each of us requires. And no one's ever satisfied. Well, girls, they think that their bust is too small and they stuff their bras with tissues, socks, anything at all. In fact, actually, my husband told me that one girl, this was on the web somewhere, one girl actually put chicken breasts into her bra, so, you never know what's going to happen. The bloke got her home and, oh my goodness me, he had a feed instead. Here, now, but it sort of looks a bit of a warning, because it sort of looks lopsided if an insert goes askew. And if one drops on out, well, then there's nothing else to do, just leave it where it's landed and keep walking, hoping that bypassers think it's something dead being left there by a cat. Now, whether large or small, we all have problems with a bra, don't we, ladies? Oh, don't we? Oh, yeah. We all have problems. And ladies sometimes need to think just where their bosoms are. Well, as the littlies get lost inside an underfilled 10B, the biggies need to be scooped up into a double D. And those of rather large extremes lose track of bulbous boobs that rise from their containment cups or bounce around in tubes. They rise from their compartments like an egg-aerated sponge. And if they're not suppressed, well, then they're free to take the plunge and droop like ripened pawpaws, reaching regions down below, or sling under an armpit where untrustworthy slugs will go. An over-shoulder boulder holder tames a wayward pair, but sometimes we're bound to think it simply isn't fair. We don't ask blokes to trust their parts in vice-like carry-alls, depriving them of manly rights to scratch their itchy belly buttons. No bloke would put up with what we ladies will endure, and their attitude is more practical than ours, and that's for sure. Now, when we bemoaned our plight, one said, and don't think that you're getting away with this, John Lees, because that was you. One husband, John Lees, said, if bras do bother you, why don't you ladies simply stick your bussies up with glue? Another said, and this time it was my husband, Hal Pritchard. Where is he, by the way? I think he's hiding. Oh, he's there somewhere, is he? Well, what he said is, here he is, over here. He said, he's filming this, don't tell him I said this. One said, my husband said, now what blokes really need, is to get down to action. So what we all prefer to give us instant satisfaction, preventing fumbling, are the bras that open at the front, because reaching the conclusion is the object of the hunt. Then when we ask direct, and I will ask direct, men, should we wear brassiers or not? No answers. Should we wear brassiers or not? Yes? Oh, okay. All right, well, you're supposed to say no. Now you're throwing a phone out now. Blokes, you're all supposed to say no. Come on. Should we wear brassiers or not? No! There you are. And they all agreed. You see, this is why I had to say that. They all agreed. Throw out the bras and show us what you got.